This is episode number 242 of the InnerFight podcast. Welcome to another edition of the InnerFight podcast. My name is Mark Smith, founder of InnerFight.com. In this podcast, I'm joined by Andre Houdet, the new performance coach here at InnerFight. Of course, massive shout out to our show sponsors, Cream. Remember, download the Cream app, sign up and register with a valid credit card. Use promo code InnerFight for up to 100 dirhams off your first ride with them. Use promo code INNER or when you're coming to the gym, or the promo code FIGHT when you're leaving the gym for 10% off your rides. No matter where you are in the world, thanks for tuning in. Let's jump right in. The team continues to grow down here at InnerFight. New coach after new coach, Euro after Euro. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined today with our brand new addition to the team, Andre from Copenhagen, Denmark. Andre, how has your first week in Dubai been?
It's been great. Just adjusting to the heat and the new work environment and everything. It's been all good.
Heat-wise, I told you at the start it was going to be hot. That's probably the easiest thing to kick things off with. What's the transition like? We know it's hot, mate, but from a physiological point of view, coming into the Middle East and training compared to what you're used to in Europe?
I mean, here there's air conditioning and everything inside, but the other day when we had to go for a run outside, that definitely hit me hard.
That was at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Not easy.
I can't imagine how it is in the middle of the afternoon.
Mate, kick us off. Talk us through a little bit about where you're from and sort of where you grew up. Give us a little bit of idea about where you've come from.
All right, so I'm from Copenhagen. My father is French. My mom is Danish.
Right.
I grew up in Copenhagen my whole life. I've lived in the States for 1 year as an exchange student. I've lived in Paris 1 year just for work, and so I've been a little bit around.
And you grew up in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
What was life like growing up with relation to sport? Obviously, we'll go into and we'll talk about your sports background, but what was it like? When did you first come into sport?
So the whole being sportive and being strong thing happened really early.
Yeah.
Because I have two siblings.
Right.
I have an older brother.
Right.
That's 4 years older.
Right.
He used to be an elite swimmer. So
Okay.
Used to train 14 times a week.
Wow.
I have a little sister, 4 years younger, and unfortunately when she was born, she was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy.
Right.
So that means that she can't walk. She
Yeah.
can use her arms and her brain function completely normal.
Yep.
But obviously she needed help with picking things up from the floor, going to the bathroom,
Right.
getting into the car, out of the car, so on, so on. So from early on, both my parents were really strong. Also because they had to carry my sister, and that meant I had to get strong as well so I could carry my sister.
Really?
So training happened really early.
What was the first sport you remember playing?
I used to swim a lot when I was younger.
Is that from the influence from your brother?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
My parents also just liked swimming and thought it was a great sport
So
to get
did your
into.
brother take you? Your brother was into swimming, obviously, from an early age. Did he take you swimming? Was that like one of the first things you guys did together, sports-wise?
Yeah, probably. We used to swim in the same club, but 4 years, being 4 years apart, we couldn't swim on the same team, obviously. But yeah, it was one of the first sports.
What did you enjoy about the environment of, be it swimming, of sport at a young age?
It's very competitive. I like to win, and already back then, just training hard, competing, all that. And that was what I really liked and enjoyed. And obviously having a brother competing already from an early age on.
4 years older as well. He probably was happy to beat you from time to time.
Yeah, but eventually I got him.
You get him eventually. What you said something important there, or something, competition.
Yeah.
That's what was interesting to you from the start.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what was, because I guess when you start a sport, when you first went to swimming, you probably weren't the best, but there was a competitive edge. Talk to us a little bit about having a competitive edge.
Obviously when you compete, you got to train hard. You got to try to outwork the others.
Yeah.
And I like the whole trying to outwork the others part.
Right.
Just being the hardest worker. And all that was definitely what thrived me to become the best. And,
right.
Just being surrounded by competitive people.
Yeah.
All my family members are competitive.
Really?
I'm probably one of the most competitive, but I got my inspiration from somewhere.
Talk to us on that point. Obviously your siblings gave you the competition or the challenges that you enjoyed. You just said, from your parents' point of view, did they push you from the start in sport, in competition? Was it something that was pushed onto you, or did you just see it in them and want to sort of be competitive?
They never pushed me into anything, but they definitely supported it and thought it was great that I love sports.
Yeah.
As long as I did well in school as well.
Yeah. Talk to us about school, mate. What did you like about school? Were you good in school?
For me, school was something similar to sports, actually.
Put that closer.
Because
there we go.
Because schools works kind of like sports.
Right.
If you work hard, you get good grades.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a competitive thing. I wanted to be also one of the best in schools.
Right.
So that was the same kind of mentality for sports as in school.
Yeah.
So I was pretty decent in school.
You wanted to be the geek, basically.
I wanted to be something in between, yeah, sure.
What subjects were you good at, or did you really enjoy?
I really liked the mathematical things and things with numbers and like physics and stuff, because that stuff makes sense.
Right.
You didn't, language and all that didn't really interest me that much.
But I guess if you wanted to do super well in school, you're probably a good kid to have in the class, not causing too much disruption.
No, pretty disciplined. And my dad is French, and the French are known to be pretty hard and disciplined, or at least that's how my parents raised me, and especially my dad. So.
Yeah. Did he force you into doing things, like, or did he just tell you, Andre, you need to be like into physics because it's practical, or?
No, my parents actually, they didn't force me to anything.
Really?
And they never told me to do homework. They never told me to get my stuff done at all. They just trusted me and said, they saw the results every time we got our grades, so they just said, we're really proud of you, but they knew that I don't work like that. If I get pushed a lot, I don't like it. I know what to do, and I know how to do it, so
you did it. But how did you do that? Like, you're speaking really from an early age. You said that they never pushed you to do homework. Like, I never did homework without being told to do it. I used to hate homework. I couldn't see the point in doing it. But how did you motivate yourself at a young age to just sort of go and get on with it?
I don't really know. I mean, my grandparents always worked super hard, and I guess from seeing them working super hard, I had to work super hard whatever I did, and at that point I was in school, so if working hard was the thing to do, that's what I would do.
Aside from the classroom, what sports did you play when you were in school?
We don't have a sports or sports in school. We have like a sports class that's 2 times a week where you just do random sports like soccer.
So you guys don't have any like after school sports?
But that's with clubs, so it's not connected with the school at all.
Right.
But I did tons of other sports. I played soccer for like 6 years.
I
did jiu-jitsu for 4 years.
Oh wow.
I've done grappling for a year. But mainly American football. Like when I was 12 years old, my dad wanted to get me into rugby, but there's only like one team in Copenhagen, and I was just too far of a drive, and my parents were both super busy, so no one could take me.
Right.
Luckily, there was an American football club very near, and just tried it once and was hooked. Never looked back.
How old were you when you started playing American football?
12.
12 years old.
Yeah.
And you played that for how many years?
8 seasons, so 8 years.
Wow. Wow. And is it quite a high level of competition in Denmark?
It grew a lot. My age group, the age group before and the age group after was super competitive, and a bunch of big talents and a lot of people traveling to the States and so on.
Right.
So that was a pretty big deal. Now today it's not that big of a deal, but back then it was. Like, we had a national team competing and everything. So.
Wow. Did you make the national team?
Yeah, I was actually speaking captain in that team.
Wow. On an age group level?
Yeah. So U17 and then U19 after.
That's incredible, mate. Very, very impressive. Aside from that, when you were in school, obviously that would have been a sport that would have taken up a lot of your time. What other sports were you into or really you enjoyed?
Well, in general, for like whatever I did, I really want to focus on that. So
yeah.
I did American football for a long time, and obviously to be a good football player, you need to be strong and fast and so on.
Right.
So it's very naturally to hit the gym very often.
Yeah. At what age did you start going to a gym?
I wanted to start very early, but my parents
they wouldn't let you.
Didn't let me.
Same story for everyone.
15 years old, I started,
right.
and that's just where it took off.
What was your first experience like? You walk into a gym, there's obviously a load of weights around and probably some big guys or something like that. Talk us through your first experience.
Well, with American football, we always had some great coaches, and they took us to the gym.
Right.
They showed us everything, and
yeah,
actually squats, deadlift, bench press. I mean,
that was
already
it.
From 15 years old. That
really?
Was what it was.
Really?
So we just did that all the time.
Did you feel that was something you said you wanted to go early? Did you? How did you figure out the importance of that strength within American football from such a young age?
Huge. I mean,
yeah.
That was definitely a game changer.
Did it make Did you see gains in your ability compared to others because of your
Indeed, that definitely pushed me way further than anything else could.
Really?
Especially in football, such a physical sport.
Yeah.
The bigger, stronger, faster you are, the better you play. And I didn't figure that out by myself. I mean, the coaches and everybody around me did the same, so
yeah,
I just had to do it.
As you went through school, did you have rebellious stages where you wanted to do something that wasn't the right way, or were you just always, I want to be top of the class, I want to do good, and I want to be the best I can be?
I have never been rebellious, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I've always kind of been mama's boy.
Really?
So I've never broken any rules or anything.
Mate, you're almost the opposite of Boz. Anyone that listened to her interview, and also to Ben used to told us he used to get in a lot of trouble
because my brother actually used to be the rebellious one. So
did
he always got yelled at. So obviously it was pretty clear for me. I didn't want to get yelled at. So
right,
just don't do those things.
You kept nice and quiet.
Simple.
Yeah.
He kind of, broke all the rules, so really? I didn't have to. Because
he'd already done it, and you learned from his mistakes.
Yeah.
That's very cool. What about academically, mate? Obviously, you were doing super well in American football, and some great results you shared with us there. How did things progress for you academically?
Well, I mean, we have a different school system here, so you have basic school, which is for 10 years, which is you have to go to, and then afterwards there's 3 years of gymnasium, which I don't know, could maybe translate as a pre-college thing. You go there from your 17 to 20-ish.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it matters, because the grades you get there, that's the grades you're going to use to get into university or whatever you want.
Right.
So obviously when I went there, I just got more serious.
Right.
Because I realized that if I get bad grades here and I want to study later on, I want to be a doctor or whatever, I don't want to let them take that chance away from me.
Right.
But it was more difficult there because you meet new people and new friends, and obviously if you're the only guy sitting on the first row and all the other guys are having a blast in the back,
it feels different.
It feels different, and it's harder to be as good friends with them. But
yeah, for sure.
I just realized that.
Would you sacrifice being with people and having those fun times and relationships, I guess, to study?
Yeah.
Was that was clearly cut from the start, was it?
Definitely. Yeah.
What did you want to be? Like when you were still studying, maybe in your late teens or any time, what did you think you'd grow up and be?
I wanted to be a hotel manager for a five-star hotel.
Really?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah. My parents comes from restaurants. And,
okay.
I never had a passion for cooking or anything, but I had the passion of hospitality.
Really?
And so from an early age on, I got one of my first jobs. I was 15, and I got a job at a hotel actually.
Right.
And that's
what,
kind of
concierge or something.
I was like an all-around guy.
Right.
I got the job because the owner was a woman, and her son was going to my school.
Okay.
And every winter there would be these crazy snowball fights.
Right.
And one day I saw this kid getting beat up, and I helped him out. And I helped him out, and then we just start talking. I don't know how we got into it, but eventually he told me that his mom was a manager of a big hotel, and I said, that's cool. And I told him that I was really passionate about that, and he hooked me up with my first job there.
Really?
So I just worked there a whole summer for 3 months because I had to leave for the States afterwards.
Right.
And actually, that woman, she had a big influence in my life later on because she gave me my brother his first job at hotel. Both of my parents worked for her as well later on. And
what was it that was interesting about that? I know you said your parents worked in the hospitality industry, but why did you what sort of endeared you to that?
I kind of thrived off like making people feel comfortable and kind of giving the best service possible. Right. Later on, I mean, that a little bit changed, I would say, because you also have to take a lot of crap when you're in that business.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And the customer's always right. And
I think they are.
Sometimes that gets a little bit annoying when they complain and they'll try to make all shortcuts and just make your life hard. And in the end, I was tired of that. Right. So eventually I got out of it.
Yeah. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about sort of, that was obviously a childhood dream. Like you've said, you started working in that industry at 15. Talk to us a little bit about how things progressed for you.
Also, I got my first job there.
Yeah.
I came back I had an exchange here in the States. Right. That's pretty normal in Copenhagen and Denmark in general.
At what age were you?
15.
At 15?
Yeah.
You went
after the 10 years of normal school that everyone has to go to.
Yeah.
Most people take like a year off.
Wow.
And I loved American football, and I believed that I would become the next NFL player.
Right.
So I just felt, I got to take this chance, and my parents supported me, and I went there.
Wow.
So when I came back, I went back into the hotel. In the meantime, my brother finished the gymnasium, and he was never that like serious about school, and school wasn't for him. He wasn't stupid or anything. It's just it wasn't for him. One point, he started at a hotel, and he just found out that, damn, this is for him.
Yeah.
And he just went all in on it. He got an education hotel hospitality in Copenhagen, and then he applied for the world's best hotel school in Lausanne.
Wow.
Which was the school I wanted to go to, actually.
Right.
So when I came back, he hooked me up with a job in the biggest chain in Copenhagen, where I worked for, a couple of years in 5 different hotels.
Right.
And eventually I discovered CrossFit, and I thought, if I want to train that much, I gotta work in a box as well.
You can't be a hotel manager.
No. So, and I was more passionate about that. Life changes. And
talk to us about that, mate. Let's jump into it. What was your first CrossFit experience? How did that go?
So, as I told you, I played American football, and the season is from March to October. Right. And from October to March, that's all about getting strong and fast. So American football builds on a strength and conditioning program. Yeah. It's the same as CrossFit, basically. Yeah. It's a strength and conditioning program. Right. And so in the off season, when I moved to the senior team, that's like above 19.
Yes.
I think I was probably 19, 20 years old, so it's 2.5 years ago. Yeah. We had an off season where we just did CrossFit and a CrossFit affiliate, one of the first affiliates in Copenhagen.
How did it happen though? The American football guys just said
they rented like the gym for 2 days a week for a decent price, and we paid some money and just got hooked.
Really?
I was exposed to it when I was in the States, when I did the grappling, when I did wrestling, because the off-season training there is rope climbs, pegboards, running. Right. All those kind of things, tire flips and those kind of things.
What was your first thoughts about it, though? Because obviously, CrossFit is different from the normal weight room that you went to or what you'd seen. I mean, I guess, now there's quite a few CrossFit gyms in Copenhagen, but when you were growing up, you probably had dreams of working out in a Fitness First or something like that. Yeah. So what was your thoughts about sort of CrossFit, the gyms, the environment, when you first started being exposed to it?
I thought, this is super tough.
Really?
And I just got hooked. I mean, I like competing, and I saw also this as a thing I could compete in forever. Right. The thing with football, I broke my collarbone 2 times, broke my hand and my wrist. And you're just out for 1 year with those kind of things.
Right.
and I just saw this as a thing. I could compete.
Yeah.
I could get super fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just kind of get all the things I got from football.
Right.
The only thing I had a hard time not getting was having the teamwork and all the friends and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
how do you deal with that though? Because it's a huge part. You've gone from a team sport, and like you say, like those friends and the camaraderie, and we know you like to compete, we know you like to win, and obviously you have an opportunity to do that in CrossFit. But it's always been as an individual. Was that not strange?
It was strange in the beginning, but always in school also. I never was a big fan of group work.
Right.
Because, I don't know, if I did it all by myself, I knew that there was only one person to thank, and that was me.
Right.
And I wouldn't worry about if the other people would let me down or anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that big of a problem, because eventually when I started doing CrossFit and I started taking it serious, I met a lot of people I could train with.
Right. Right. And that made
eventually that kind of made the team sport.
Yeah.
So
when did you decide that you'd obviously you got exposed to CrossFit as a way of training, but when did you think, actually, this is what I need? I can coach this stuff. I need to be, this. I can make this my life.
Well, actually, the first time I did CrossFit, I decided that I was going to stop American football.
Right.
And go 100% into CrossFit. So that was in the middle of my senior year.
Right.
In pre-college or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I just decided that no more alcohol, no more parties. Today it's just CrossFit. Well, there were some coaches who told me, because I had great mobility, and that was just a great advantage to move weights and to move in gymnastics and stuff. So I'm very early on, actually, I met some people who just told me that if I really want to do this, they'll help me, and I can probably go pretty far if I'm dedicated.
Right.
Just spoke to my parents about it, and I decided to stop football, and football was my life, so that was a major decision.
Really?
So I just went all in, 100%, no looking back ever since.
You said something there that you sort of you decided to jump in, stop partying, stop drinking, obviously making some sacrifices. Were you a big party animal before, or were you out with your friends till 4 a.m, or how was that?
I probably wasn't a big party animal compared to my friends.
Yeah.
But the thing was that in school I was very serious, and I wasn't really fooling around doing class with all the others.
Right.
So I missed some social time there.
Right.
After school, I always did sports. So I missed some time with my friends there.
Yeah.
So the only time I actually was able to, and I worked a lot also, actually.
Right.
The only time I could hang out with the friends and kind of be social, because you kind of always have to. If not, you'll be a very lone wolf. So that was Friday night.
Right.
So Friday night, I kind of had to go out, even though it meant I had to get up early Saturday morning to train and work.
Yeah, yeah.
So actually, every Friday I had to go out. I didn't drink that much, but I was a part of it. I gotta admit that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was very easy for me to cut it off, and I never smoked in my life, and I would never do anything.
Yeah. So you just sort of decide that, obviously going out on those Friday nights must have become more of a chore than anything else.
Exactly.
And did you, when you made a decision like that, do you start to feel a little bit lonely?
In the beginning, I still went out without drinking.
Yeah.
And I just tried my best to have a good time, and I just realized that this was not the place for me.
Not the right environment.
Like, I was... that it wasn't for me, and I once heard one quote that says, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself most with.
Yeah, right.
And I started thinking about that, and being at the clubs on Fridays, I thought, what am I doing here?
These are not the right people.
These are not the right people, and especially not if I want to go all in on CrossFit.
Yeah.
And also the people I met through CrossFit told me the same thing. You got to be surrounded by the right people. If not, you won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that hard of a choice. I was fine being alone.
But at the start, did people sort of... They sort of belittle you about it and say, "Oh, Andre, you don't want to have fun. You're young. You should live your life," and all that kind of stuff.
They gave me a lot of crap. And
how do you deal with that?
I dealt with it fine. It was no problem. Even my parents, they thought, that CrossFit thing is taking over a little bit too much. I mean, enjoy your life.
Yeah.
My parents comes from restaurants. My mom is a sommelier, so drinking wine every night, and like that was just connected to having a good time. And for me, it was not connected to having a good time.
Yeah.
And actually, a funny story: after I finished pre-college, my parents, they never asked me of anything. So they actually told me this one thing, and that was the only thing they ever wanted from me, and it was to go to France.
Right.
And the first month, I was forced to work at a vineyard.
Right.
To learn about wines and, being a CrossFit addict, that was not quite.
So how long did you spend doing that?
It was 30 days.
Right.
Every single day from 7 to 7, no days off.
Really?
Just working at the vineyard in Avignon.
Right.
In France. So.
Right. Interesting time.
That was interesting. It was very, very challenging because I definitely hated it, actually.
Yeah, I guess if that's not the environment you want to be in and you're forced to be in it, it kind of hurts a bit. How did it progress then? You found this sport called CrossFit that you really like. You've decided that there's no more American football. You sort of made some sacrifices because a few people have told you, Andre, you could be quite good at it. Yeah. How did you transfer yourself or move into coaching, and sort of why did you do that and make it your job?
So already from an early age on, obviously when we started doing strength and conditioning with American football, I started helping out with the younger teams, right? Because I was really passionate about doing the training, and so I started helping the younger people getting better as well. Yeah. And so I guess it started already back then, like helping people get stronger and better for football, because if that's what they wanted to be good at, that was a necessary thing. Yeah. But before that, actually, with CrossFit, it happened real quick. Once I got really into it, I was like, I kind of wanted to help. When I saw a lot of people in an open gym moving poorly or just maybe not knowing what they did, I kind of saw it as an opportunity to try to help, and I wasn't really that interested in the hotel anymore, so I applied for a job. Well, it all started in Paris, actually, when I moved there. Right. I worked at a cafe, and I hated it, but I needed the money, and I trained in Reebok CrossFit Louvre in Paris, and they gave me an opportunity to be assistant coach. Right. And that's where it all started. Right. Like, I got passionate about it and realized that I wanted to make a difference, and this was a place where I could. Right. Because you had some skills that fit that environment. Yeah. And just make a difference in their lives as well. You know, like working at a cafe, it just seemed like it just had no purpose for me, and I needed something that had a purpose to drive me. Right. And this job definitely had. Right. When I came home to Copenhagen, I just got the job straight away. I started working full time, and just kind of got really into it. And actually, just when I started CrossFit, I got my level 1 straight away. Right. Yeah. You just went and did it. I lived in Copenhagen. I flew to the nearest city where I could take the level 1. Yeah. Used all my money on it. Just went all in.
Talk to us about some of the biggest challenges in being a coach. And obviously you have a clear vision. You want to help people. It's something that you're passionate about. You enjoy it. But I think with everything, there are certain challenges. Yeah. Talk to us about some, and obviously I think the most important thing is how you overcome them as well to keep that passion strong and coming through in your coaching.
I think some of the hardest challenges was maybe cueing people and letting them know how to move, because I already knew that, but I had a hard time explaining it to people. Right. Luckily, just when I started coaching, I met my girlfriend, who has been a coach for a long time. Right. And so we would actually just do a lot of drilling. She would help me. Like, we'd write down tons of cues that I could use, because I had no idea how to explain, or give cues that they would understand. Right. Like, if I would explain something, it would be way too difficult and way too complicated, and no one would really understand. So I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to simplify it, and having 100 cues for one movement, because I found out that everybody's different, and in the beginning I didn't understand that. Like, it's just like, how can you not understand what I'm telling you? So I think that was the biggest challenge. I mean, also, I guess being, just understanding that everybody's different. That takes time.
Yeah.
And some people needs a month to learn one thing, and somebody needs 5 minutes, and you just gotta deal with that.
Do you think some of the biggest challenges, you spoke about sort of movement and explaining people how to move, you already knew it. Do you think some of the biggest challenges that we're seeing in people is related to essentially poor movement or not knowing how to control their body?
Indeed.
And how do you overcome that though? Because we are where we are. Like, you get a 30-year-old guy or a 35-year-old guy or girl that comes into the gym, what you see is what you've got.
Yeah.
So how do we break that down? How do we overcome it?
It's all about basics.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, I would always start with basics.
Yeah.
Like, it's a core program. Like, start with the core and then learning how to move. Just basic movements, like all the foundational movements and all that. No matter how good you are, how old you are, you can always get better at those movements.
Yeah.
And definitely in the world of CrossFit, it seems like the basics are often skipped because everyone wants to do the sexy stuff.
But yeah. What would you say if you, that's a really, it's a great statement, but it's also a big statement as well, because everyone does want to do, everyone wants to snatch 120, everyone wants to do loads of muscle ups. What are the things that you think people should be doing almost on a daily basis that are the basics that are going to help them to get to, as you said, the sexy stuff?
Yeah. Well, again, like basics, like a proper warm-up. Like, for example, for weightlifting, I feel like too many people try to put too much weight on too early. Like, if I have a new guy, I would just give him a barbell and just learn how to move with the barbell or PVC, or I mean, even no PVC, just to learn how to move his body. And I remember when I started, I was only using the women's bar for a long time and never more than 30 kilos on the bar, and just breaking up the movement over and over again. And even today, my warm-up consists of 20 to 30 minutes of just regular 40-kilo barbell work, and that's what everybody should do. And it's the same in every other thing, in gymnastics and everything else.
You obviously, gymnastics as well, you're very passionate about. What is it that makes you passionate about gymnastics as well? Because it's almost like you don't get often people that are super passionate about the weightlifting side and super passionate about gymnastics. We often see either or, really, don't we? How does it work sort of on both sides?
I think they're both really connected. I mean,
Right.
if you're great at gymnastics, I think you have a great foundation to be great at weightlifting, and maybe
Right.
also the other way around.
Right.
I mean, gymnastics is controlling your body, and weightlifting is controlling something away from your body.
Right.
In coercion to your own body, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Gymnastics happened later on that I got really passionate about that, because
Talk to us about
well, in the beginning, I met a weightlifting coach, and he's the one who took me through all the weightlifting, so I just did weightlifting all the time. Later on, I realized that my gymnastics sucks.
Right.
To be good at CrossFit, you got to be good at gymnastics as well.
Right.
So I really got into that. The guys I was training with also, we kind of just got really into it, started listening to a bunch of podcasts with the U.S. national gymnastics coach, Christopher Sommer, who is the creator of the Gymnastics Buddies.
Right.
We met a guy from Cirque du Soleil who worked with us, who also coached some Grid League athletes. I went to the gymnastics seminar from CrossFit HQ. I don't know. There's just so many progressions in that as well that many people don't see. And like, in weightlifting, you can see that, all right, you progress your snatch by 1 kilo. It's great. It's a PR all the time. Gymnastics, for many people, has been a little bit more hard to see the progressions. But after getting interested in it, I really saw that it's really clear how you can progress and how all the movements are related to each other.
Talking about that, obviously within CrossFit, they're big elements, and they're industries or components on their own, really. We were watching the other day the gymnastics at the Olympics, which is absolutely incredible. But what order would you put the importance for people thinking about, so they want to get better at fitness, they want to get better at movement and within a CrossFit environment, what would come at the top of your list?
Gymnastics, definitely.
All the time.
If you can't control your body,
yeah,
you're not going to be able to control anything else.
Right.
So you shouldn't try to control a barbell or, I don't know, heavy D-ball or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you can't even control your body.
And would even for people that are maybe not so keen on they don't want to compete in CrossFit or anything like that, but still
same thing.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I mean,
where does the strength part fit in as opposed to weightlifting as well? Because I mean, they're two different components at the same time as well.
For gymnastics compared to weightlifting? Or?
Yeah.
I mean, gymnastics, if you're good at gymnastics, you have an amazing core.
Yeah.
An amazing core is the most important thing for everything in life.
Right.
If you don't have a strong core, you're not going to be able to move any weights.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a strong core, you won't be able to move your own body weight. So I think just all the core work they have in gymnastics is so important, as such a good background for weightlifting or for anything else.
Do you find it sometimes repetition is the key? And if so, is it, because I think that's where I believe that it is, and I feel that that's where people lose interest because they're doing the same things over and over and over and over and over. Like, I mean, you're taking gymnastics, you literally can't do enough work on your hollow body position.
No.
But for a lot of people, they get bored of that. So how do you keep people motivated to continue to be interested in those elements?
Well, I guess that's a little bit the hard thing. I mean, you got to be really consistent and doing these movements a lot, but it's the same in everything else. But I know what you're saying. Hollow body and arch holds, they're boring. But luckily, in gymnastics, there's always a lot of different ways to do it. And in general, in CrossFit, we have all the different types of setups, as the AMRAPs, the EMOMs, I don't know what, and you can always keep that constantly varied. And if you have a motivating coach who keeps telling you or why and how this is important for everything else, I think you'll understand.
You should.
But I think that's what's the problem. I mean, if you don't understand how important the hollow body and arch body is for your kipping movements in gymnastics, you don't see the point of spending that much time on it.
Right. So it's understanding that transfer.
Yeah.
Talking about transfer, obviously a lot of what you coach transfers into your own athletic ability. And close to the start, you told us that you are a competitive person. You like to win. Let's talk a little bit about your competitive CrossFit, shall we call it, career or highlights, whatever it is. Obviously, you've just done very well in the French Throwdown, which was a few months ago. Talk to us a little bit about competing and also goals for the future on that level.
So, I've been into the sport for around 2.5 years.
Right.
I've been very serious throughout the last year.
Yeah.
Where I've had a very close relationship with a coach and a very good training crew and everything.
Yeah. I've
competed twice individually,
right,
and I've done a couple of small team competitions.
Yeah.
And my very first competition was the Athlete Games in 2015, I think.
Yeah.
The year that Phil Heskett won, actually.
Yeah, you're right.
I qualified as the very, very last person. I really did all the workouts a couple of times, and I just poured my heart out to get to that competition.
Right.
That was definitely the game changer. I was not sure if I would like to compete individually because I never did it before, and I wasn't really sure if competing CrossFit would be something I would enjoy. So that was the test.
Yeah.
My brother and I were really close, so he went with me.
Yeah.
My parents are both really busy, so they never really got that much into my sports career, but my brother always did.
Right.
So he went with me, and I just had a blast.
Right.
Freaking loved it, and had such a good time, and I did not expect that.
Right.
Also being in the underdog and just seeing what I could do with half a year of practice and training. I mean, I thought, okay, one day I can maybe win these kind of competitions.
Right.
yeah, I just sat together with my brother, and we just talked about it, and we set some goals for the future, and we talked about that I should come back to athlete games eventually, and my goal would be to win it.
Wow, very cool.
3 months later, my brother died in an accident.
Okay.
So that was obviously
a big blow, huh?
Big blow for my whole family and my whole life, and
I'd
say that's one of the things that affected me most, and that's definitely my biggest drive.
Yeah.
So my brother was one of the only persons who supported me in CrossFit, and he was there for my first competition, and he was the one I always shared all my goals with.
Right.
And my goals was to win the athlete games, and it was to go to the regionals.
Right.
And those two things are written down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I just decided that I'm never gonna stop until that happens. and seriously, I won't stop until that happens.
Yeah. So there's a lot of motivation there.
Yeah. So every day I wake up, I look at the picture of my brother and I.
Yeah.
And I have next to my bed from the Athlete Games 2015, and I think
you got to win it for him.
Yeah, and win it for myself. I mean, it's not only for him. I always, of course,
you want to do it.
I want to do it really bad, but that's definitely a thing that affected me a lot.
Yeah.
And so I went to the French Throwdown this year, and just gave it my all. I finished third. That was a big surprise.
Yeah, very well done.
There's a lot of good regional athletes and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my goals for the future is to qualify for regionals as an individual competitor.
Right.
And I don't care how long it's going to take or what it's going to take. My goal is definitely next year. I'm going to do everything it takes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm super stoked to be here, surrounded by people who want it just as bad as I do.
Absolutely. Do you see, as a lot of people do, you've spoken about, I guess, some... not the pinnacle of the sport of CrossFit. A lot of people will say, I want to go to the CrossFit Games. You're very focused on those couple of goals, which are obviously very important to get you to the CrossFit Games. Do you see yourself at the CrossFit Games? Is that a goal now, or do you just want to just bit by bit to get, and see how the puzzle unfolds?
A long-term goal
could
for sure be to go to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
For me, my goal to start with is to get to the regionals, and I'll take it from there.
See how it goes.
Of course, I want to go to the games, that's for sure. But I would like to overcome one thing at a time and just focus on one thing at a time. But definitely, that's for sure that the better I do, the more hungry I get, and the more I want.
Few quick questions, mate, before we wrap it up. What's your favorite ever workout?
That's a hard question. I think the 16.1 this year. I don't think I have any specific strengths. Or major weaknesses. Right. So I don't see anything that I really prefer.
Yeah.
But apparently the 16.1 was a pretty decent workout for me.
20-minute AMRAP.
Yeah, I finished 19 in Europe in that workout, and apparently that was a good thing.
Least favorite ever workout that
That's
you just
the CrossFit Total.
You just don't want to do a CrossFit Total.
I've done it. I've done 2 competitions my whole life, and both competitions consisted the CrossFit Total.
Back squat, deadlift, strict press.
Yeah.
Why just not interested?
Just not really like raw strength guy.
Yeah.
Like back in my old gym, the guys and girls would call me Anna Tunnicliffe.
Right.
Like this skinny person. And I don't know, I've just never been super strong, even though I've done like back squats, deadlifts, bench since I was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
I don't see my numbers as being terrible, but, other than my strict press. But
but if we add unbroken bar muscle ups and a few handstand push-ups to the CrossFit Total, I guess you'd be quite happy.
That's all good, yeah.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now or 10 years from now? What do you see?
Back in the day, I would make plans for that.
Yeah.
After my brother passed, there's no plans. I take one day at a time.
Very cool.
Just want to do what I love. I want to make a difference, and just want to work hard, and then I'll see where it takes me. Because when I started CrossFit, my life just took a whole new direction. So I really know where it takes me.
This might be difficult to answer based on that, but fast forward another 50 years, where would you like to be to spend your retirement?
I'll probably be in Copenhagen,
Yeah,
where I grew up.
Go back home.
I love my city.
Right.
Every time I've been out, I've realized when I come back that this is a great place. I mean, not only because my family is there, but also just the way it's set up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very.
Right now, yeah, probably Copenhagen. Maybe
Copenhagen.
things will change.
That's a good answer.
I haven't seen the whole world yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's true as well. Mate, final question. Obviously, your parents seem to have had a big influence on your life. Your brother also. What would be the one piece of advice that perhaps your brother's given you or your parents gave you that really sums up sort of life and getting the most from it?
Just do what you love.
Yeah.
Like, there's never any dreams that are too big, any goals that are too big to go after.
Yeah.
Just never give up.
Awesome.
Like, that's it.
Mate, we're excited to have you here. Obviously, you've only been here a week or so, but it's been a good time so far, and I'm sure everyone that's listened is interested to get to know you more and hopefully to get coached by you and, of course, to watch your journey unfold. So we wish you the best of luck, and if people want to work out with you or get trained by you,
hit me up.
Give you a shout and we'll get it done. Awesome. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks a lot for tuning into this episode of the podcast, and a big thanks to Andre. We wish him the very best in his goals as an athlete and also as a coach. You'll see him around the gym and in various places just trying to get better at CrossFit and, as he said, better as a coach. Please, if you have a moment, hop over to iTunes, rate the podcast. We'd appreciate that. And of course, if you do have any questions, just drop us an email, winning@innerfight.com. We'd absolutely love to hear from you, answer all of your questions. Big shout out to our show sponsors, Kareem. Remember, download the Kareem app, sign up and register with a valid credit card. Use the promo code InnerFight for up to 100 dirhams off your first ride. And if you come into the gym, use the promo code INNER. If you're leaving the gym, use the promo code FIGHT for 10% off your rides with them. Until next time, take care.